I was 29 years old, best of physical condition, engaged, soon to be married, and just getting into the thick of my career with enough medals on my chest to last me a lifetime. And yet, paradoxically, lying in a supine position on a hospital bed, being told I shall never walk again?
I was extremely intrigued when I saw the first look of Amit Sadh's 7-episode series on ZEE5 titled Jeet ki Zid. I was even more engrossed in the project when I got to know that it is based on the real life of Major Deependra Singh Senger. Since last year, Amit Sadh has made an impression with the masses of his capability as an actor, especially in the digital space. A combination of a lot of these things had my expectations soaring high. The series, which is a dramatized take on Major Deep Singh Senger's life, follows his journey from a young age, his motivation to join the armed forces, his specific interest in being a commando, the physical and psychological setbacks that he dealt with after suffering injuries in the Kargil war, making a name for himself in the corporate world thereafter, and finally being an anomaly to science and the human spirit by walking again. This is a story of perseverance and will that needed to be told, and here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the series so that you can ultimately decide whether to watch it on ZEE5 or not. The underwhelming aspects. The editing. One of the biggest demerits of this series is the lackluster and almost haphazard editing of the piece. There are several moments from the onset where you will notice that sequences have jarring jump cuts, random zoom ins and outs, and effects that are integrated even to the most banal moments. A classic example of the poor editing of the series is the boxing match that introduces Aly Goni's character. A sequence heavily edited to develop motivation or interest among the audience comes across as random and rather confusing. The match itself will remind you of the vintage 90s boxing matches like that of Ajay Devgan's Hakikat or Amir Khan's Dil. You will find random cutaways, cropping, and abrupt endings to several scenes throughout the series. Dubbing. While this is an extremely technical feature that may not come across as problematic to viewers, I couldn't help but point out the off-sync dubbing in several instances. There are moments where someone else has dubbed for the character's role, like that of an elder sibling, which clearly lends a lack of authenticity to the performance. There are also moments where the dubbing is off-sync from the visuals, so in order to mask that, the editing cuts away abruptly while the characters are still speaking. This is a feature which many may find jarring from a basic storytelling perspective. Screenplay. My biggest gripe with the series is that its canvas is so beautiful that this series could have easily been one that stays in our memory for ages, both for the commitment of an actor like Amit Sadh and the celebration of a decorated individual like Deependra Singh Senger. But what happens in the process of covering so many milestones of the legendary figure, the series suffers from becoming a highlight reel rather than a hard-hitting piece on human resilience. The series covers the major events in Deependra Singh Senger's life, and this often leads to the series focusing on the events, transitioning to a black screen and moving on to the next event. The several destinations are often reached, but the journey is not fleshed out for you. I was reminded of the Jake Gyllenhaal film Stronger and the sheer emotional journey of the character to deal with his new reality. It broke your heart into several pieces. Jeet ki Zid, in the process of covering so much of the Major's life, doesn't give necessary attention and depth to the psychological deterioration of the man. The good. The cast. Before I get into the stars of the series, I have to talk about some of the surprise elements that I found. Mrinal Kulkarni playing the role of Deep's mother, a concerned and loving individual that lends a beautiful sensitivity to her role. Looking at her, I wondered, isn't she Sonpari? Just a side note, I never saw Sonpari. It's just that I used to watch Shakalaka Boom Boom, so I used to just see it here and there. Yeah, I'm just clarifying. One of the most surprising elements of the series was Aly Goni as well, whose work I am not privy to, but he is such a natural performer in front of camera. I was taken aback by his moments of improv and the chemistry he shared with Amit Sadh. Amrita Puri as the gritty wife is convincing as ever. She's one of the most underrated talents we have in the Hindi film industry, proving her capability since Aisha and Kai Po Che. Her loyalty to her husband and her willingness to persevere is what all individuals dream of having for their partner. Sushant Singh as Colonel Ranjit Chaudhary, responsible for the training of commandos, channelizes the same energy as Arlie Ermy from Full Metal Jacket. Tough love, goal-oriented and mostly stoic, Sushant is the perfect fit for the role of a man who knows how to get the job done. I was blown away by Amit Sadh's dedication to this role. He has a physical commitment to the portfolio which is truly exemplary. There are several sequences where you know an actor can clearly use a body double, but the actor insists on getting his hands dirty and performing each physical task. There is one long shot where he falls, gets up, falls to get up again, and it's so exquisitely performed by the actor. He possesses the body language and physical presence required for a skilled commando. While Amit in moments can be criticized for his dialogue delivery, often his voice cracks in sequences of vulnerability, he does truly give 100% to this role. His psychological frustration of finding himself physically incapable is what so many individuals dread as being their worst nightmare. Sadh is an individual to be cherished, especially for his sincerity to the role. The training and sequences of combat. What I especially appreciate the makers of this series for is that they consulted army professionals while choreographing sequences, both of training as well as of combat. Colonel Ashok Gehlot and Major Arjun Gehlot were consultants and mission choreographers of the series, and it's clearly visible with respect to the attention to detail. From the first sequence of combat, the strategy executed by the team, the posture in which the soldiers hold their guns, and even the sequences of the Kargil war, you can clearly tell that the makers wanted to make sure that they get these sequences right. The story and end credits. More than the execution of the series, I was blown away by the fact that this is a true story. Deep Singh Senger is an inspirational figure when you just put into context the journey he has had. A man from a young age who was never physically built for the armed forces, but worked towards making himself the best version he could be. The entire series ends each episode with snippets told by Deep Singh Senger himself with his wife on how several instances transpired in real life. It also made me come to the conclusion that the mind is overlooked many times when faced with physical setbacks, and Major is a testament to the sheer capability of humans when they set their mind on their goals. We often pity ourselves of the predicament we are in, but undervalue the sheer boundaries we can break. The series is a clear depiction of what goes into becoming a part of the armed forces, the sacrifices that are required on an individual level to protect the country. While it represents what is physically required, it also sheds light on the mental toughness that only a percentage of the population possess. Moreover, it is a realistic portrayal of what spouses and family members have to endure when married to an individual from the armed forces. Whether it be months of distance, consecutive postings, and a life of sheer unpredictability, it also requires a mettle of a different kind to understand the sacrifices that are essential without a shadow of a doubt. If you can get over the technical glitches of Jeet Ki Zid, I assure you it is a true story that you need to know about. A story that may inspire you and possibly break the barriers we put in front of ourselves as impediments to our goals. The story of Major Deependra Singh Senger through Amit Sadh will truly inspire many. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about this series. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.